Alright, good morning, I'm back. I had to actually take a little break from this guy. So I cut this video into two halves because my wrists needed a little bit of a break. Okay, so we're attaching our tree to our beautiful frame. We've just taken this last long branch I've shown you, just to add a little more thickness and depth. I have one more I could do this with as well. So I might swing it around and position it, see if I like something. I'll make some more bends. Actually, before I do anything, this one's a little straight. I'm going to try to make some nice gnarly bends in here and make it, give it a little more character for the back. Remember, we got two beautiful sides that are going to be showing here. Okay, I think I like that branch better now. So now it'll help me with this one. And if I need to raise it or lower it, I could put a little one down here. I could untwirl it a little bit and split it up. Peek a little one down here, but I'm not gonna. I might just end it because I'm gonna put beads up here, so I don't need any more filler. Alright, so that's my decision. I'm gonna wrap it around the frame right there, and then I'm gonna cut it off. So I don't need all that length. I'm going to cut it down here where it's coiled so I can get an easy wrap on this frame. Okay, just like that. This is the front, so I'm going to snip it right there. I just turned it to help me, turned it over because it helped me wrap it a little bit easier. Tap that cut. Now I'm going to go finish tidying all these up, okay? So I'm going to take this one, pull it tight, give a snip up here. Well, maybe I'll go around one more time. Actually, I've been going around one more time, haven't I? So I'll dive back through here. Now I can cut it off up here. And I still have room for my add-on. I'll let these fray out a little bit, so just gonna quickly get them back. Just work real controlled. Work patiently. See how it's frayed? It'd be easier if I take a second to do this. Get a little more twist on it. This one's actually pretty thick. I probably wouldn't have to go back through. I'm not gonna with this one. So just pull it a little tighter if you got one of those. Snip it up here. Land those wires up top so we can cover them. Tap them and roll them. Tap them and roll them. And then once we tie canopy, we're going to, we have another wire that we can tighten things up, so don't stress if I haven't mentioned that. So I'll just get this one tight, for the sake of time. Snip it off. Tap it. Nice tight pull. Snip right on top. Tap. this one too. Snip it right there. Ooh, we could have left a little more in that one. That's alright. Okay, and then I got this last one. I guess I did have one more. You can decide what to do with yours if you need to. Probably just going to get rid of this one. And just bring it through the frame right there. Just like that. Cut it. Okay, just like that. Ooh, it was some work, without a doubt. But it's gorgeous, and it'll be even more pretty once we get our canopy on there. That'll be just beautiful. Okay, let's finish the roots. Pretty much the same applies. You want to tie them onto this back frame so you can envision it. Make them be interesting and bring the ties, you know, tight and close right here. So let's do it together. One at a time. So I'll start with this one just because it's here. This will be easier now because we have a nice open space. Just one nice tight time. Land it right there. Take a tap. You're going to hide that. So here is the next one. Just going to take it around. Make it pretty. Don't make it too bulky. Once is enough. But once nice and tight, you know, don't go too loose. Right? Nice wrap around that frame. Just tap all these all down. Not quite to the back. And we can do an add-on wire, which we're going to do up here. So if you have some little ones that you think are poking, we can do another sandwich layer on that side. Okay? So don't stress. And then here too, if these get to be in, you know, just too much, you can swing one to the other side or, you know, snip them off. Just, I've got a little bit more space right there, so I'll probably take another lap right there. And I won't do too much more with it. But I don't want them just, you know, like 3 rows right there, so I might twist these up a little bit so that they don't look so placed. Make them a little more gnarly. Take my plier and kind of turn some interest into them. Yeah, open them up a little bit. I don't know if that did too much, but now it doesn't look like 3 straight rows. And then if you feel like one's long enough and you need to swing it over to this side, you can do that too. If you think you can, you know, you got more space over here and grab one. I'm going to do that with one of these. So I'll just come through, get it nice and tight. That's a tight space there. Just going to work real patiently. I could probably just cut it real tight and tuck it into there and tap it, but in time I want to make sure, and you know, because we're going to put this wire over it. But for me, probably I'm going to try to wrestle it back through one loop. Oh, that one was a thick one. Cut it nice and close. You know, and you don't have to, if you're watching this ahead of time, maybe I'll make mention of it in the postcard, but you don't have to go 33 wires, 33 feet. You know, you can cut that in half. When you're making your spool, just make a thinner tree, and if you're struggling with some of this, I find that this size is good for me, but you certainly can start off with less strands. Or you can start off with a bigger frame, too. A little bit bigger frame. Give yourself some more space. You'll find the right formula for you. So I'm going to trim it. Be done with it right there. Nice tight pull. Tuck those ends right into there. Make sure nothing's poking out. Okay, so that's nice. I got some nice interest in those roots. It took a bit of work, yeah. But you can decide if that's worth it to you or not. Alright, so I'm going to get, before I do anything else with the frame, I'm going to get my nylon jaws. And I'm going to give this whole thing a little tap. Don't smash with the nylon jaws and take your sculpture out of form, but I like to just go through here and tap these ends. Some of them will go a little wonky. It's okay. Just give a tap. Don't crush your sculpture. Just give an easy tap. Easy. Okay. You see how some of them came and spread out a little bit? Easy. And a nice tap to land everything. Okay? See how they smashed up a little bit? It's okay. Don't stress that. Okay, let's start to work some of these wires, and then we're going to build this before we finish this. And I just want you to start bringing this back into, these two back into play. If this is a little thick, you know, get it raised. You're the boss of all that. Slope it nice. Just push up. Get all that under there. See, just like that. Just like a little sandwich. And we'll be able to tie these down if you need to, so don't worry. If you got bulk and you need to make a little curve to accommodate it, do it. It's your piece. Just like that. A little more elegant. Just work it up. Kind of match the frame of the harp. This is 16 gauge, so it's pretty thick. So I'm working slow because that's what it takes for me to bend this nicely. Okay, and I'm just going to let it kind of live right there for a second while I look over things. Got a little bit. Okay, that looks nice. Try to start this one. I'm just using the pad of my thumb as a helper. Don't collide with the other one. Okay. See how that's just gonna, we'll hammer those, so don't stress, and that's gonna sandwich all those cuts in there for you. And then on the other side, when we put our bale wire in, if you feel like you need to sandwich some of this, we'll have another wire, a little smaller one, 20 gauge or 18 gauge here in a minute. And then you can even go like, you know, bring it down. You'll see, because I'll do that for us. Or you can just cut them off, you know, if you don't need it. But that's how we're going to bail out, is to attach our add-on right here. Okay? So that looks pretty nice. I like it. I'm going to keep my curves, and just at these shoulders, I'm going to give another bend out. I know, be patient. Okay? Just get them out of your way and get them ready for hammer. So we bend them so that we can hammer that, right? But I want to get this guy on here too. So just lay it all down, level it out. It's your beautiful creation. I love how it's going so far. So I think I'm going to get, for mine, I'm going to get some 18 gauge square. And I'm going to take about 10 inches. Okay. I want to make a little loop for here, so I'll get the center. It's not too big of a space, maybe 8 millimeter. So I can do it with a plier, a round nose, or your step pliers. Probably this one. Get to the middle of your wire. Just make like a letter U. Like a U shape. Just like that. Okay. That's nice. It's level. You could hammer that. Just strike, from here to here. Hit that curve. Just once or twice with your hammer. We've done it, so I'm not going to drag my big block here. Just to harden it a little bit. See, I only hammered this little top bit. So now I'll take my flat nose, and right there at that top bit, try to make the line even, but it's not urgent. Just give a little 90-degree bend on both those wires there. Make a smile. Alright, so this is going to be looped like that, so right through here, I'm looking at the front of the frame where the thick wires are. Pass through. You could actually, here, let's do it this way, make it a little easier. Take the bend a little bit more than 90. Make a hook. Try to do it evenly so you can get the 90 and then do one wire at a time because your pliers are tapered. So just try to make it even. Okay, just like that. Make a little hook. Look to the front. Slip in between your branches. Whoop. And get it here like this. And you can press nice and close. Just land it. Okay. We're going to take these wires 360 and back through to the other side. So just make sure your loop is nice and even. So we have wires to cover this side. This is the extended wires I was talking about if you want a little design or coverage for your branches back there. Or not. I'm going to take a plier. Just get a little pinch on it. Pull it out diagonally slightly. Get a bend on it. Come right back here. Straighten out the leading wire. Push. You're still holding on with your thumb here, otherwise the loop goes. Just get it through best you can, and then get your fine plier to help you. If you don't want the long wire to make more design with, then you can cut these shorter and make that a little easier work for yourself. Okay, just be as even as you can. Get a little diagonal coming out. Pass through, straighten out, push through, straighten out, and come through. Do a little tap, check them both, get them as even as you can. Get your plier when you like it. tighten things up. Give a little tap. Give a little tap. Okay, so you've put an add on there so we can chain to that. And then you've given yourself also a little bit of design wire back here. In the event that you need to cover any business back here, you can run these wires down, right, and cover some of this stuff if you have some, you know, something that's not comfortable here, or just if you want more design, doesn't matter. And you can trail them down here even, and, you know, make spirals down here and cover some messy roots if you have them, okay? So we'll just leave them up here for now. Just leave them up here, okay? Nice and attached. All right, so let's hammer out. I'm just going to pull them out far enough to get them. I don't want to hammer anything that I don't want, so once you get a nice curve the way you like it, pull it out to hammer it if you want to hammer it, otherwise it's optional. And I'm going to hammer here to flare it out, and then just tap and taper. Don't hammer your tree. And I'll do the same on this side. Just pull it out a little bit. Hammer the curve. Taper it down. Okay, like that. They'll be a little stiffer now, but you just work them back. And you see how you'll just sandwich in all that messy cut business? Right? I stopped hammering here so that I can figure out what else to do. If I hammer the rest, then it gets difficult. Come back in front. Difficult to curl and bend, so we just stop our hammer right about there. Bring this guy back up. Make sure you got elegance. You can even flare them out a little bit if you want to. So give, you know, bend enough that the spring on the way back stays over your sandwiches and your ends. So like that. So nice. Okay, so I've just hammered these. They look nice. I'm going to go ahead and put my block aside. I love how that's coming along. I'm going to put mine back in just to show you, but you can leave yours flared out, or you can put them back in and pull them back out again. This is pretty thick wire. Okay, I'm just working slowly. So, do you see how they'll sandwich in your ends? Right? But before we lift them here, unless you're not going to bead. If you're not going to bead, this might be your finish. You just want to take the rest of the thick wire and do some curl, maybe drop a pearl moon if you're not going to bead. But if you are going to bead, I'm just showing you, so sit tight. Eventually they're going to come in and cover all that. So we're going to put a little canopy now of green and purple wisteria beads on here. So I'm going to actually leave mine flared out so that I can attach them, you know, to this lower wire. And then eventually we'll sandwich the whole potato together. Okay? Okay, and then we have design with these wires. So right now we're in this kind of open heart position. I'm going to get my beads, and I'm going to show you how to get those under control here. Alright, so now I'm going to move over here to my beading board. You see it's a nice mat. It's got foam so that I can drop my beads on here and have them be under control while I work. And I'm going to zoom in my camera so that you can see this fine work. Sometimes this is a little bit tedious, but I think it's one of the funnest parts. I think you'll be able to see that, yeah. Alright, so let me get, I've got a mix of pear dough and emerald beads in this bag. These are not 1 millimeter. These are chip beads, and I would say they're in the 4 2, 3, and 4 millimeter range. It's hard to find them small, I'm not gonna lie. So this is normally how they go, right? These chip beads are smaller. They're like more like 2 millimeter beads. See the difference? There's a difference in the chip bead world. We're kind of used to seeing them here, and that looks small, and they work beautifully, right? But if you can find them a little bit smaller, it's a bigger pain in the behind, but I like to blend them. That's why I blend them. So the bigger ones, the darker green ones here, let me just get a scoop. Okay, the darker green are the emerald ones. Whoop. Right? And they're a little bit bigger. And that's about the chip bead that we're used to finding everywhere and seeing everywhere. Probably, like I said, between 3 millimeter and 4 millimeter. Maybe some pieces are even 5 across. They're all drilled. But you see these peridot? These are the tiny, tiny chips that I'm talking about. These are maybe 2 millimeter, maybe 3, on a whole consistent basis, the whole strand. Right? See, they're all tiny. So, real hard to work with, almost seed beadish, but I blend them. It gives nice depth to your trees, and then you don't have to deal exclusively with all of these tiny ones or just all of the big ones. It makes a nice little canopy. And you just sprinkle some. So I kind of do this first. I lay my tree down. I hand select these little bits and place them where I think it will make a beautiful canopy. And I kind of plan it out a little bit, not a lot. I try to find the smaller ones of the darker green that fit a little bit better into my spaces here. Okay. And remember that I'm making a wisteria here, so I don't need green to cover everything. And it's going to be more than this, because I like to, I'm just getting a sketch. We'll add, they'll be layered, but you can do them sparse too, so that you can see some of these beautiful branch works that you did. Let me get down here, see if I can get you closer. It's hard for me to get closer. Let's see. Yeah, that's the best I can do, I think. This thing wants to move. Okay, maybe if I scooch. There you go. You can kind of see that. So you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of getting my sketch on about this tree. And I'm trying to stay in the shape of my heart. And probably with this one, I'm going to plunge a nice bare wire, a hammered, point maybe, over some of these. Okay? You'll see. But I just kind of get an idea. And then I take my purple ones. These are a blend of amethyst chips, iolite chips, and tanzanite chips. There's 3 different kinds in here. And they make it. This is what I call my Mystics blend. You can hardly see because I've changed the camera now, but the dark ones, dark purple, those are amethyst. They come a little bigger, like the emerald. Those are the chips we're used to finding everywhere, kind of, in this size, the bigger size. But the iolite and the tanzanite chips are real tiny. These are iolite and tanzanites right here. And they were shades of light and dark blue with the purple of the amethyst. So this makes really, really neat looking wisteria. Do you see that? Okay, so I take these, and same thing, kind of the fun part is to pick through these little beads and decide where you might, put a few. Kind of get the picture of your tree going on. And it doesn't have to stay this way, I'm giving you an idea here. Sometimes I don't even pre-design, I just put them on. But do you see how beautiful that can be? And it's, I don't know if you guys know what crystal glass is. In the bead world, these are those little, not Swarovski, they're Chinese crystal, or they're that middleware crystal. And it's a 2 millimeter little bling bead. It's crystal. Just gives a little shimmer of light. It's clear, or you can get little gold ones. And here and there, I like to drop one of those in there. I've got them mixed in here with these green ones. See, here's another one. It's just a little crystal bead, faceted. It's got a little shimmer on it. It's artificial. It's, it's crystal like Swarovski, but not Swarovski. Can't think of the name. But anyway, you can find them in bead stores everywhere. Probably even some with the seed beads. And you just, here and there, for some light and some extra shimmer on the tree. Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm going to find another one. I got another one here. It's another little shimmery one. Drop them here and there. You got another little shimmery one right here. Okay, so just go through and kind of do like that. Check out your tree. Maybe instead of purples, I'm using pinks, like small garnet chips or small garnet balls, and this could be like a, not like a wisteria, but more, more like a pink azalea. Okay, and I just now shake them off. It's kind of my plan there. All right. So that's kind of the idea there. And so now I'm going to get, I like to work with a foot at a time of 28 gauge copper wire to tie these on, 28 gauge. So it's a nice tiny size. These holes are real small. So I wouldn't even try 26 gauge. I would stay at 28 gauge. Where's my 28 gauge? I like to work with a foot at a time. We're getting snow this weekend, you guys. The weather is coming. What you hear in the background is my floor heater. I'll turn it off because it's so cold in my studio. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, now I'm back. Probably hear me a little better. Whew, okay. And I talk quietly in the morning because it's morning here. So I don't like to, it's just a quiet time of the day. So I have a foot of my 28 gauge, and I'm going to anchor on my frame just by taking it through and making a loop. I like to kind of go middle, so I'm not working with too much length at a time, because then you have this you can tie on beads with, and this side you can tie on beads with. And a foot, sometimes maybe a foot and a half will cover you. Okay, so I just make one loop. You see what I mean by we can also, tie up a couple of these branches. Like if this one were loose, I would just swing across this branch and tighten it up, drop a bead across it. Anyway, you'll see. Okay, so I do my trees a little different, and it's so that I can have this very relaxing, enjoyable kind of, we have a sculpture, and now we have like a little painting, right? So I anchor, and I'm not going to lie, you want to get some magnifiers, probably some real good light on this. And I'm going to start with my green beads up here. So I'll just take a couple of these little peridot, and you can pick them up and pierce them, or you can kind of squiggle them around on the mat and pick them up Just 2 and 3 at a time is how I like to work, so that I can, it's like putting little bits of paint. Okay, so I've got a nice little line. I'm going to let them drop all the way down to my tree. And I'm just going to cluster them up into something cute, because these little chips do that. Make sure there's no slack in my wire. And you work nice with kind of like a sewing patience, because, you know, it's your tree. It's your beautiful sculpture. So you see I'm taking it around some of these little roots that might be loose, right here where I tied them. And I can just anchor that little bit there. Maybe if I need to go around one more time, I will. I can also anchor to, when we get working into the inner parts of the tree and doing some of the drops, I can anchor to branches. You want to keep the interesting, so don't cover everything up. Sometimes less is more. And these are real gemstones too, so they let a lot of light come through. So I'll grab a few more green ones, and I might grab a dark green one in the middle of that. So I'll pick up this one, pick up another peridot, and I'll pick up, I'll pick up this emerald, this dark one right here. Okay? And I'll just squiggle them onto some branches here in a nice way. And you can sew however you like. Sometimes I like to trim it out and then come back through. Sometimes I go up and down. I don't like loose dangling beads, so I usually work 3 at a time. I like 3. You can work 2 and 3, even 4 if they're real small. Kind of cluster them up when you get them back to the tree frame. See that? Got a little space. I might have a little dangling dark one there. And you can still shift some branches while you've got some minimal canopy. But once the canopy starts to build up, then they'll be harder to shift. So that's kind of why it's nice that they still move a little bit. Okay, so keep working until you enjoy yours. It's an exercise in patience. Sometimes working 2 hands over here is a little easier, because you can push one on to the end. I think it's an enjoyable patience. So, there's just a lot of immediate gratification that goes on. I'm not going to lie. I like my immediate gratifications too. But sometimes with my art, and these trees in particular, it's nice to have the time to really sculpt these. I think that the Tree of Life pendant and the Tree of Life design in general is kind of getting a little, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. You see a lot of quick makes these days. And I think that, we see a lot of quick things these days. But for me, and maybe that's why my store is always empty, because I don't wrap fast enough. But sometimes art is just an act of nice patience. And I can paint and I can create. Hey, so say I dropped a couple of little sparkles on that one. Tighten up the wire. I'm going to catch this branch now because it's a little loose. So I'm going to put it where I want it, and then I'm going to land it. See how I catch that branch right there? And just like sewing, come up and cinch that up. Do a couple of little laps around the frame. That branch isn't going anywhere, neither are those beads. And I could, if I want to come back up here, you know, sew back up here, catch some of these branches, or I can use this wire and start to come inward, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay on the top of the frame so you can see me. So I'm just going to bring the wire here now. I've got a little gap. I might bend that up some. This is just a real enjoyable morning time when it's quiet at my house. I'm probably rambling too much to make it enjoyable for you right now. But I guess what I was trying to say is that later on in the day when my full work schedule starts, it is fast-paced. So sometimes I like to do projects like this in the early morning for you guys because it's part of when I can relax too. I can slow down, explain things rather than I'm just building for my inventory. All right, so I put a few more there, and now I might want a little wisteria. So I mean a little purple flower. So I'll grab a amethyst. I'll grab one of these little iolites. No, this is dance night. Ooh, they're small. I might do two. Come over here and pick from this stack because I have a whole bag of these. So you just put them together. Come and put them on here how you think is pretty. Oh, I like that. Make sure they land. You see, you don't want long stretches of beads because then you get this, unless you sew them on and anchor them to the branches, because then they flip-flop, right? You get bubbles. They can just lift up, right? So probably going to go and pull this branch, come up here and just dive into there, grab a branch this time instead of the frame. Work to keep your little tiny wire, nice without any kinks. Then just like sewing, I'm going to come up right near it and catch that branch. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, maybe you can. Oh, no, see, I missed the branch. Oh, that's okay. I caught the one below it. That works. Or maybe I did catch it. Either way, you got to make sure that you're grabbing a branch so that you anchor. So 360 around it, and now I've got a nice little, couple of flowers. I might do some more purple ones. Work your beads around your tree the way you like. Put your little bling crystal beads where you want them, here and there, to add a little shimmer. See, picking them up for me is almost harder because I can hardly find that hole. I'm going to put a little purple one in there. Oof. I'm just going to save this other weaving wire up there. That's pretty. I'm probably going to dangle a few purple ones right in there. Come up here and catch the frame. I'm just going to bring my small wire back down. You see how you go over these little wraps anyway from the branches. I try to dive in there and just do a little, not too far, right? Just do a little cinching up as you go down. You see that? Don't do too much, and don't break things, you know, but you can cinch up a little bit as you go about. Make sure there's no, don't stretch too far out there. Like that one's probably too far, but I'm going to put wire over it. Try to keep them neat and clean if you need to travel or wrap up those branches there. And don't do a long pass like that one. Just going to tidy that up. Just, you know, stitch patiently around, okay? So you can leave that there so we can add a few more, and you know, you can even come from the back side, travel down and through this branch to get to that inside spot. So it doesn't just look like a weird wire hanging out there, right? So now I'm on the inside of the tree. Make sure you come back up, grabbing the same branch so you don't do weird stretches through your branches. So if I wanted to leave a little gap, you know, that's how I travel with this wire without cutting it off and on and leaving bits everywhere. Alright, so I'll pick a couple more purple ones. And what's great about these tanzanites and iolites is that they're kind of long. So, and they have little long ones like this, so you can make them look like dangling clusters of wisteria. Or whatever kind of purple flowers are dangly. Like that. I'll put a little crystal one at the end. So see, I can just add, now I'm in the middle, and I can just add some purples, and I can dangle them this way and attach to that branch right there, and it looks like a little dangling wisteria flower. You get the idea. So you do yours. Go back through here. I'm holding everything so that there's no slack and no bubble, so that my crystals are right where I want them. And I'm going to anchor them to this tree branch right here. Okay, just like that. So cute. And now, what I don't want to do is leave, you know, obviously an odd stretch of this dangling wire. So if I need to travel it, I'm going to travel these branches, but I'm going to try to stay along the branches so that I don't have something like, you know, this go on. Just wrap yourself around these branches to get to the next one. Or you pass to the back. If you're not going to add any more little bits right there and you want to leave some of those branches bare, you just pass to the back. Use your finger and kind of manipulate that. And make the back pretty too, because you know this is going to be seen. But here I can jump wire and jump branches, and I can see a little bit better. All I'm doing is making coils around certain branches, not taking stretches across bare areas, but just, you know, traveling my weave wire to where I want it, which is a little bit more over here so I can use it. Or, you know, you can use this one and start with it. I just want to make an example of how you can travel. That is looking so beautiful. So I'll put some more green ones here, some green ones up here, but not too much on this side. 1 or 2 or 3, drop a couple purple ones, and I want all this detail. So I like that. You just work yours. Don't go too bulky here, you know, at the frame, because remember this wire's coming back. And towards the edges, I like to try to pick the little pieces, littlest pieces, so that I don't give too much bulk there. If you make these, they're so beautiful. Please try to find me on social media and let me see your gorgeous work. And I would love it if YouTube would eventually, you know, make it so that we could share pictures here, but currently we can't, and that's why I'm taking you to other social media to do it. Look at how pretty that is. Just remember, be mindful of your branches that, you know, you have interesting things you want to show. That one's too big. I'm going to take him off. Put some green ones there. Sometimes these little drill holes are too small, right? So I keep big piles of these beads nearby. You know, they come in strands. Ooh. There we go. I'll put some links. I don't affiliate, but they come in these, if you can find them, these big long strands. And then to get them ready, you know, I break them all open. I put them on a pad like this. I make little clusters and I bag them up so that when I'm ready to do these, I just pick my colors. And then this is all I have to clean up, is that little bit, rather than the whole 2 or 3 strands or 5 different strands worth of colors here. I just kind of pre-mix them. I always have my green baggies, lots of these, and then I have mixes of purples and pinks and different baggies, depending on what kind of tree I want to do. I'm going to show you a couple different trees, don't worry. I used to do these a lot. I don't know if some of you who have followed me over years, I haven't done trees in a long time because, do you see the time? I don't like to just bang trees out. I like to sculpt them out and make them really beautiful and one of a kind. And it's just a serenity thing for me. These are a peaceful place for me. So I don't like to make them hardcore inventory. But I think I'll do them with you once a month like this so that we can enjoy them together like a painting, right? Then you have this pattern. You can make these and you can sell these. But I hope they bring you peace in the morning and creative juices flowing in your mind and imagination, as well as bringing you prosperity. So first we had the Tree of Life in January. This one is the Tree of Love that we're building now for February. And then the next one will be the Tree of Luck, which we'll build at the end of February for March. And that one I'll keep a little surprise, but you can imagine what it might be. So cute. And I'm going to keep the divot in my heart, right? because that's kind of the point. That I want to see that. I want to see this as a heart. You don't have to. You can just make this into a nice almond shape. Ooh, I undid my ravel. You can make this whatever shape you want. We'll have a nice collection by the time all 12 months goes by. I'm going to give us a different one every month, and it'll be a different one. So we'll have a nice collection. When I'm done with it, like maybe I don't want this wire anymore. I could use it more, but I'm done with this side, so I'm going to go to this wire and go to that side. You just wrap it a few times around your frame. Here's the opportunity that you have. If you have, you know, loose wires and branches, just coil, again, another layer cleanly. You know, don't stretch it all out, and we're going to cover it, but you can, you know, yet again end your 28s up here if you need to. And if you don't, and you just want to cut it off because you're done, make one nice secure, you know, a couple of nice secure wraps. Trim it off right there, or trim it off, actually, on the wrong side. Trim it off up here, right up against, you know, the frame, and then tap it down because we're going to cover it. Don't leave it in the back. Just like that. Tap it down. Tap it down. That's it. So now, when I bring, I'm just going to show you the rest a little bit with this wire. So now I can, when I want to finish this side, I can motion this wire back up here. I'm just going to go through some of the steps so you can start to visualize what I'm doing here. I want this to fit that little space. It's hard to bend at the end, you know, the point where you hammered to where you didn't hammer. Sometimes it makes a sharp, hard curve there. Just take your plier and keep it under control. Try to let you see. So I'm going to come around with this. I didn't tie it on yet because I still kind of want to hammer that. I'm just going to make it follow that little curve. See, I've got coverage for this. You'll never feel it. And we can do one or more stitches to help hold it down if we need to. But our focus is kind of right here. Get a nice cute little curve. That's why we don't do too many beads all at once. I'm going to cut it. Right about there, and I've got a little angle on that cut. Okay. The hinge is here. Remember, we can still move. Just pull it out. Okay, get it on your block and hammer that little bit right there and tap, tap. I do it with a smaller hammer, a riveting hammer, so that I can tap that. I'll show you. Just like this from the back. Just a little bit to harden it up. See, like that. Give it some nice shape. Sand and file right there. So while it's out here, I'm just going to give it a nice file while I can reach it. It doesn't need to be pointy, you know. And just make it a nice rounded little bit right there. You can make it pointy if you want to, but you can just do like that too. That's nice too. Just nice and clean. Put a little sandpaper on it if you need to. And now let's form it back to shape. Push here to get that slope. Back up over those hard roots. Watch the snag, don't snag. And then shape your stuff carefully back into place. Okay, so pretty. And nobody will ever touch those ends. And we'll put a stitch or two and make sure it holds right here, right? You can see that. It wants to spring back because we just hammered it. But it's okay. You're the creator here. So, and if you, this is 16 gauge, so it's a little bit bigger and it's going to be a little harder on your hands, right? But you can be doing this, you know, whole frame in 18 gauge too if you wanted to. It's a little easier on you. So I got to wire my 28 right here. I got the opportunity to stitch it in. The little 28 isn't going to hold it. You need to get it into place first. Don't mush up your tree and all your beautiful work. So it holds itself, and this just holds it down. It's not big enough. This 28 won't defeat the 16 gauge. Okay, so I'll just take a couple of laps, dive through these beads where it's comfortable, and catch that frame. Even one stitch is enough, okay? It just needs to hold it down for you. I might go another time or two. Hold it all in place. Take another nice couple of stitches right here. Don't spread them out. Make them nice if you take more than one. Just like that. Okay. It's going to want to spring, right? Remember that we might have to do a stitch here too. So that's why I kind of just did one. Let's just work this wire while it's over here. We'll do an add-on 28 for that side. Since I did this, I meant to just show you and I got carried away and kept going. Alright, so while it's here, you know, same thing. You don't need to travel so that you have wire on that frame. You can travel underneath it if you want to travel at all. Otherwise, just stretch over, right? Just stretch over to the spot you want to be, catch it, and then snip, snip, and tuck those wires. So I'll do that actually because it's a little easier. So I'm going to stretch way over here because I just want this shoulder. So I originate from here. I'm just going to come over here and do a couple of neat little wraps. And I want this held in a little bit more, so I might come right here. I'm holding the tension, right? I'm just, instead of cutting wire on and off, I'm just traveling this wire over. I'm going to make a stitch, just one, right there. You see how it held that side? Probably two is better with 28, but you could just do one. And let me show you how to end this wire if this is where you're going to end it. See, if you do two, sometimes you pass through a space that separates. I wanted to show that. I don't like that. It doesn't matter here or there. It's pretty, but that's why I just do one. Okay, take your wire back here. If you want to end it, you're going to find the nice nearest sturdy branch. Plunge through the branch, over it. Catch it the best you can without disturbing your tree too much, and you're never pulling to the point where you're breaking any wires. And then, do the round 360 through. Catch the branch, turn it over, catch the branch again if you need to. I like to do that a couple of times if I'm going to terminate this wire right there. Okay, and that pretty much cinches that guy on with a nice neat stitch. Didn't disturb my beads. This one fell through to the other side. That's okay. Sometimes they plop over here. Don't break your wire trying to readjust them. Just go with that. Make sure everything is sound, and that's pretty. I still see a couple of branches. I probably could have showed a few more branches, a little less beads. So I'll show a few more branches on this side because here's my main interest. And I'll just do a few beads up here. So you could do this wire first if you want to, like I said, but it's my habit to like to do it afterwards. And I'm not, I could have just continued to use this, but I'm also trying to show you lessons. So I'll trim it out real close, real inside, tuck it into, better off on the other side. I meant to do that on the other side, but you know what I mean. Tuck it into your branches there. Don't need to feel anything. Okay? So now if I want to reattach with a wire over here, go again with the 28. Make a little loop. I just grabbed another 8 inches just for demonstration's sake. These are so nice. I love doing these. It reminds me that I love to do these. They just take so much time. And they're, more than time, I'll be honest. It became real hard on my hands. There's a lot of repeated motion. So if you're going to go into the trees for business and not integrate other jewelry, if you're going to be, mostly a tree maker, keep in mind that it's real hard on your hands, harder than you think. So that's the other reason why I kind of backed off of doing them. Because I was doing them a lot. And it disturbed my hands. Started making them tingle. That was the first trouble with my hands. So for those of you who are thinking about doing this for business, if you're not already, all of us who are doing it for business will tell you that this is a bigger workout on your hands than you can imagine. So in time, ergonomic tools, if you can afford them now, get them now and just make good habits of using them. They'll save you a lot of strain on your hands, and get into good habits of like taking breaks. I'm talking for business, right? So a lot of my members want the discussion of going from hobby to business. Well, taking care of your body and your hands are your tools for the business here. So it becomes way more important. Making a few pieces now and again is one thing. Making enough inventory to make a living is a whole different thing on your hands, a whole different production method. So, even making a few gifts can strain you. If you're, working for holidays and you're thinking you're going to make 3 or 4 of these, you'll feel this after 2 or 3. Maybe I'll take one off. It's too long. So don't be afraid, it's not looking... I'm going to take a couple off. Don't be afraid to do that. I want to keep it short over here. Get a purple one. I like that. Alright. So I'm going to finish mine. This is getting to be a long tutorial, but I think you get the idea about the beads here. Just a couple more here and here. And then I'm going to drop this other wire. And I'll just show you, in case you're ready to do yours. It's kind of the same idea. Bring this in until you're over the wires. If you feel like you hammered far and that you're not getting an elegant bend, use your fine pliers. Yeah, see, I like just those couple, and I might just do something with this wire in a spiral right here. You can do whatever you like. I take it here. It's a big wire. So you're going to work it slow. I get the pre-bend. Don't snip your tree. Get the curl on it. This wire is big, so my little round nose might not cut it. So I'm going to get my, if I can find them, my thicker big round nose, a little bit bigger. And I'm going to take this end. See, these are probably too thin. Get a little deeper into it, but you can't go too deep because then you collide in your branches. So get a nice round nose that you can muscle this if you're doing 16 gauge. You're going to have to hold the wire, turn that end, hold it how you feel like you can turn it. I'm trying to hold it also so that you can see it. Go this way. Okay, that might be the way to do it. Okay, so, darling. And I'm not even going to tie it to here. I'm just going to leave it be its own creature there. I'm going to hammer it. So I'll pull it to the side. Oh, don't snag. Okay. Remember your hinges here. Keep your wires under control. And then I'll just hammer that little bit. I'm not going to show you because you know. You know how to do that. So I hammered that little bit in there, skinny, so flared to skinny to flared. And then I'll sand that. Well, for the sake of time here, I won't. Off camera, I'll do that, but to get you the tutorial. So put your spiral back in place. There you go. You got handy wires all over the place to make it the catch. So right here, with this guy, into the shoulder. One nice stitch. I'm just going to leave it there for now. And that should lay down pretty well, okay? So I don't necessarily need a bunch, right? A bunch more beads. So you see how we filled in some of that? A little more artsy for you. Something unique. And then, but you can do what you like. I might put another bead. I got a wire right here. I might put one or two more. I fib, I might. I can always take them off if I don't like them. Before I seal them in. If you have difficulty, make sure that tip stays nice and straight to pierce these little beads. Ooh, a little slippery. It's an act of patience. Have I said that at least once during this tutorial? Okay, there it is. Just a couple. Oh, I might do that. I'm doing that. I think I'm doing that, and then I'll plunge one in there. Stick it to the back. Grab the branch. Just have it peeking out. fell through. Sometimes that happens. And you can even do this side, you know, let a bead or two poke through here, because you could have double sides. We made it double sides for it to be clean on both sides. You know, you can do that and have a... I tend to just put one or two. I don't tend to make a whole backside, but this is a new frame. You could put one or two, clean up stretch wires like that. You know, this side, I like to just leave it because you can see branches, but then add a dangle or two, right? Take the stretch wires out, because we're going to make a nice clean design over the top. So if you don't want to deal with the back, don't worry. But if you want to deal with the back, then make it two-sided. This side you have this sculpture and these little beads, and on this side you see more branches with just a little beads poking through. And then we'll cover the wraps with these guys. I'll leave my little wires there. I like that. I'll probably clean up this straight one here. Bring it up more like that. It looks a little better, I think. And maybe I'll tie one or two in there. Not sure yet, but I can let my imagination do it. And to give you the tutorial, then what I want to do is show you these last two wires. If they're munchy, just get a nylon job. Don't pull all your beautiful work out. Just straighten them with a nice, easy. Okay. And then you can go through and cover this frame in the same way. Get a nice little slope, or you can do a loop even. This is the back. So if you want to make it more curly, you know, swing a loop in there and then come around. We're just going to show you this one. Okay. I'll take and clean that up a little bit. I munched it out. Just going to come in here and do some little business like that. Again, you know, maybe if you can handle it all together, maybe I would have done that and left a wire or two poking out to stitch it, right? Instead of, and actually I can do that with the stretch wire there, snip it, because I'm not going to leave the stretch, and then use that one and catch this one. But my point for you is that is to get down here. If you have messy roots, you know, you can disguise them up with this guy, little curl, you know, or even the other one. So here, had I left a couple of tie wires here, I could have caught them. This one I did leave some tie wires. Just follow your frame and make it cute and nice. When you get there, see, I could take this one and stitch the catch. Just like that. And then it leaves me on this side, you know, next to the other one that I just did, right? Even if you have to go 1, 2, 3, just try to make them nice rather than, you know, like they're just random, so that it looks more uniform for you. I'll go one more time. See? 2 nice clean little stitches right there. Looks nice on this side, you know, 1 and 2. Maybe if I needed a third, I could go there. I don't. But you see what I'm saying? Okay, so now you make them beautiful on the frame. Then come down here with this guy. I can end them, do a little curl right there, right? I can, you know, if I had left room, I can dive through there and lock down. So if you wanted to do something like that, let me show you that. I didn't squeeze it all the way because there was bulk. So if you can manage that and you need to use that little bit, you can dive through there, make that run nice. Make a sandwich. This is 18 for me, but it could be 18 or 20. Put it through that little loop. Bring it back here. Cut it. Do a little spiral. Cover up any pokey bits or weird bits in your roots. If you don't need it, cut it here, lock it down. If you just, all you want is that for the sandwich. Take a little pinch if you need a little pinch. I'm just using my bent nose here to get you through the example because I want to give this to you. See what I mean? Now we cover up little roots. These roots aren't bugging us. There's nothing here. So you see how we're strategically using our frame? We got a loop right here still. If it lays down, just push it up so that we can chain to that. Now same thing with this guy. If I just want to end him, I could lock him into that loop. I could dive him into there and flip him over. I can use him on this side. So maybe I want a little curl right there. So before I tie anything else down, see, that's why I don't stitch them in until I'm ready. Let me trim it a little short so I don't have to take such a big back bend. Give you the example here. Dive through. Make sure you're covering any areas on this side that you want covered. That's nice. Now you got them here. Get them laying down nice. Curl up if you want to, or wrap around if you want to. Okay, probably just going to see how curl them up. I'm trying to make a little example. Or come down here and just lock them to there. Maybe we'll do that. Let's do that. Flip them back over. So I got a little swooshing something going through here. Can make it nice, deliberate, give it some texture. That's pretty. I could have made a little curl right there. Maybe I'll do that if it's long enough. So instead of ending it in a curl, I can make the curl mid-wire, right? Just let it kind of go along with the tree there. Just turning it and making it a small loop. And then I'm just going to attach it right down here into, some of these spaces that I might have or that I can make, because this one still lives, so I can actually go right here. Or you just cut it, spiral it out. Just going to take a turn, dive it into that little spot. Lock it in. Lay this guy back over it. So cute. All right. I'm going to call this one done so that I can show you the rest of it. It's already going to have to be in 2 parts, this tree tutorial. I'm just cutting them inside the frame. I know that they're stable and locked down, so you could add a couple little beads right there. It'd be so cute. Metal beads even, if you wanted to. Look at your profile. You can use metal pliers if you're careful and don't dent. You can use your nylon jaw if you need to tap anything out. Okay, so pretty. And this side looks nice. There's no disturbance here. This guard wire, you can call it, is over my back edge. The pendant's not too thick. It's not outrageous, right? And I can go through and do small tapping. Don't break your beads on your tap. Just tap your metals around the edges here. Gentle taps, barely moving. Just settling taps. Okay? And that hardens everything up really nicely. There's your beautiful sculpture. Jump ring into your chains. Okay? if anything is sticking out here, like I shifted that a little bit. I like the roots showing on the side. It makes it kind of look like it's bleeding out a little bit. You know, but if you did too many, just tap them back. If it looks out of balance, just tap it back. So lovely. And definitely it's a little work, so if you're selling these, don't give them away, right? All right, so to make some jump rings, I'm just going to get 20 gauge round wire. You could also do this with 18 if you want thicker. You could do it with pre-made jump rings. I'll just show you how to make a couple in case you don't know. Got 18 gauge here. Some scraps that I pulled out. I just choose your jump ring size. I like about 6 millimeter. So I'm going to make a couple of wraps. Around this post. I'm tapping each time to harden them out. Hopefully you've been able to see this. You're going to make 2, make 6. Now you just trim 1 at a time. All I need are 2. So I only need 2 of these to work. Okay. Take the 2 inside or the 2 cleanest ones. Your flush cutter is going to leave a divot on one side. Let me change my camera so you can see this. Okay. There's a little tiny point on one side and it's flush on the other. You want to just snip that point out, barely, with the flush side of your cutter. Make it flush with the other. Now you can take your meaty pliers if you're using 18 gauge round. Hang on to that guy real nice and tight. Get another flat nose, or if you don't have a flat nose, get to the edge of a bent. Just whittle them together. These are thick. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Whittle them together. Tap the heads together until it's fairly clean. Okay. Or you can buy them already pre-made. While it's open, put it onto here. Close it up. Make sure you don't feel that. If you do, take a sandpaper to it. Do another one. Snip the point out. Make them touch. See, one is taller. Real controlled plier action. Or you can buy them. Okay. You can practice those. I do this with scraps. 18 gauge will be nice, strong jump ring. And it'll take the wear of a chain, swinging on it. Okay? So obviously, you can use them in 2 ways. If your chain is small, like a nice little ball chain, you can just feed through. Whoop. Right, like that. Or if you're using bigger chain and you've seen me use this chain before, then while those jump rings were opened, we could have also attached our chain. So we would have a static chain. And actually, if you do it this way, you don't even have to have those jump rings. If your chain has open loops, you could do that. So you could do it this way too. So this, taking it through this way makes it a floater. So in other words, it floats the chain, a ride back and forth. Or you can have a static position on the chain by attaching the chain to each of those dedicated loops, and then it doesn't swing. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed that. It's a little bit of work, but that's why it's the tree of love, because you have to love to want to do this. And then you will love it afterwards. All right, thanks you guys. I hope you've had a lot of fun, and I'll see you for the next one.